Have you ever noticed how certain men can't resist the kind of woman everyone warns them about? The one who's daring, unpredictable, and carries a quiet hint of danger. She doesn't chase anyone, she draws people in. When she walks into a room, the atmosphere changes. Not because she's flawless, but because she's free from the need to appear flawless. So why do men, even the intelligent, self-aware, and emotionally grounded ones, fall so hard for the so-called bad woman? The truth isn't found in her looks or attitude or rebellion. It's found in her power, the kind rooted in self-assurance, firm boundaries, and the allure of uncertainty. Most men aren't addicted to toxicity. They're drawn to emotion, to the rush that comes with unpredictability, the thrill of thinking, I don't know what's coming next. The bad woman embodies that sensation. She is confidence without apology, freedom without hesitation, and intensity without justification. Yet here's the twist. What men are really pulled toward isn't her chaos, it's her composure. She owns her decisions. She never begs for approval. And in a world full of people desperate to be liked, that kind of calm control feels like oxygen. In this story, we're uncovering the layers of that attraction, the psychology, the chemistry, and the emotional triggers that make certain men unable to walk away. By the end, it becomes clear that what makes a woman bad might actually be what makes her unforgettable. Attraction isn't an accident. It isn't luck or magic. It's biological wiring. Every time we're drawn to someone, the mind reacts to ancient codes written long before modern dating existed. Men aren't always attracted to so-called bad women because they crave drama. They're responding to instinctive signals that represent strength, certainty, and depth. When a woman displays independence and unpredictability, she activates something old in the male brain, a mix of curiosity, challenge, and reward anticipation. Dopamine, the chemical behind desire and motivation, spikes when the outcome is uncertain. That's why a woman who isn't easily impressed or emotionally accessible becomes so compelling. She doesn't hand out her attention freely, and that rarity builds value. Meanwhile, the kind and overly available woman may unintentionally remove that element of mystery. It doesn't make her less valuable. It simply means that the human mind craves novelty and challenge to remain engaged. Think of it like a game. When it becomes too easy, the thrill fades. Men often confuse that surge of excitement for love, but it's actually a neurochemical chase. There's also a primal side to this. Throughout human history, confidence and fearlessness signaled survival. A woman who moves through life with conviction, who speaks truthfully and sets limits, sends a signal of strength. To the subconscious male mind, that translates into power. And power, whether emotional or physical, draws attention. But here's the paradox. The same traits that make a bad woman irresistible can also make relationships unstable when emotional maturity is missing. What starts as fascination can easily turn into tension. The real key isn't to pretend to be bad, but to understand why that energy is captivating and how to embody confidence and self-trust without crossing into manipulation or detachment. At its core, attraction is a language without words. It's chemistry built from tone, posture, attitude, and self-respect. When a woman radiates assurance, she's silently telling the world, I don't need your approval. And ironically, that is exactly what makes people want to earn it. Confidence isn't about being loud or defiant. It's an energy, a frequency people feel before a word is spoken. When men say they're drawn to bad women, what they're often describing is a woman who exudes inner certainty. She's bold enough to be entirely herself, without apology or hesitation. That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it pulls. A confident woman isn't the pleaser. She doesn't twist herself into a version that might be liked. She moves through life knowing she's already enough. That quiet certainty shifts dynamics in an instant. Men sense it. They can tell the difference between someone trying to win them over and someone simply existing in her truth. That kind of authenticity is electric precisely because it's rare. But confidence doesn't mean arrogance, it means emotional independence. It's the inner strength that says, I am my own validation. The bad woman isn't powerful because she's careless. She's powerful because she knows her worth and won't compromise it. Every boundary she sets, every standard she maintains, speaks louder than any demand for attention. That kind of message doesn't need volume, it needs presence. When a man encounters that presence, it stirs something deep. Not fear, but fascination. Because confidence reverses the expected pattern. Instead of chasing validation, she becomes the one to be validated. She isn't waiting to be chosen. She's deciding who deserves her time. That reversal challenges old dynamics, and for many men, it's both thrilling and intimidating. What makes bad truly bold is that these women aren't afraid of loss. They understand that walking away isn't defeat, it's strength. They don't cling to attention. They command it through calm self-possession. When someone can stay centered in who they are, even when faced with pressure or disapproval, they become unforgettable. Real confidence doesn't shout. It quietly says, I know who I am. And that steady voice carries farther than any cry for validation ever could. Every relationship walks a thin line between emotional thrill and emotional steadiness. One feels like fire, unpredictable, intoxicating, full of adrenaline. The other feels like home, safe, consistent, and grounding. The truth is that we crave both, but our minds often confuse excitement with connection. When men say they're drawn to bad women, they're usually chasing the rush she creates. The thrill feels alive, it's the delayed reply, the mixed signals that keep their thoughts spinning, the push and pull that awakens uncertainty. And where there's uncertainty, there's dopamine. It's that surge that makes the highs euphoric and the lows unbearable. For many men, that emotional roller coaster becomes addictive. They begin to mistake anxiety for passion and chaos for chemistry. It's not that they want instability, it's that they've learned to associate emotional intensity with love. Emotional steadiness, by contrast, doesn't cause the same storm of chemicals, at least not right away. It's quieter, predictable, less dramatic. To someone accustomed to emotional turbulence, stability can seem dull. Yet, paradoxically, it's the very thing love needs to thrive. The thrill captures attention, but steadiness keeps love alive. One burns fast and bright, the other burns slow and enduring. A bad woman, or rather a self-assured, emotionally anchored woman, often carries both energies. She has the thrill of independence and the depth of self-possession. She's her own person, surprising and alive, yet she can offer emotional safety when grounded in awareness. The trouble begins when the thrill overwhelms the balance. When excitement slips into volatility, the relationship stops being connection and starts feeling like survival. That's when chaos gets mistaken for passion. True attraction matures when thrill and steadiness coexist. When excitement is paired with trust, and passion doesn't come at the cost of peace. It's the difference between wanting someone because they make you feel alive, and choosing someone because you feel alive while being with them. That's the sweet balance, the place where chemistry comes not from uncertainty, but from mutual depth, respect, and growth. The real reason men chase the so-called bad woman isn't because they want pain. It's because she awakens the part of them that feels alive. She reminds them of the edge between risk and reward, between longing and fulfillment. Yet the greatest evolution happens when a man realizes he can have both, the thrill of passion and the calm of consistency, without losing himself to emotional chaos. Stability doesn't destroy excitement, it sharpens it. The mature form of attraction isn't about constant highs or endless drama. It's about a steady connection that still makes your heart race, not from the fear of losing someone, but from the peace of being seen fully and without fear. One of the most misunderstood traits of these so-called bad women is their boundaries. People often label them as cold, distant, or self-centered. But what they are actually witnessing is a woman who understands where she ends and where another begins. Boundaries are not barriers. They are gateways to respect. And women who embrace their authenticity without apology have mastered this art. When she says no, she means it. When she needs distance, she claims it. She doesn't ask for permission to protect her energy. And that kind of self-respect quietly sets the standard for how others will treat her. A bad woman doesn't fear being misunderstood because she isn't searching for universal approval, she's seeking alignment. And that's something many people, men especially, find unfamiliar. Boundaries can be intimidating because they challenge the comfort of control. Most men aren't used to a woman who won't bend to every emotional demand or who can walk away without anger or drama. Yet what makes her magnetic isn't her resistance, it's her clarity. She knows her limits and enforces them with calm certainty. That sort of composure commands respect, because it shows she values herself enough to protect her peace, not just her pride. Boundaries also create attraction through contrast. When a woman doesn't offer unlimited access, her presence becomes something that must be earned. It restores balance to the dynamic. Effort begins to match interest. That is what keeps desire alive. Many men mistake boundaries for rejection, but in truth, they are invitations to rise, to grow, to meet her at a higher level of connection. The bad woman is saying without words, if you want to be close to me, meet me where I am, not where it's convenient for you. The beauty of boundaries is that they make love sustainable. They prevent emotional exhaustion, resentment, and dependency. They allow two people to show up as whole individuals rather than halves trying to complete each other. In that sense, the bad woman isn't just protecting herself, she's teaching those around her how to love with more consciousness and depth. What others can learn from her is that boundaries are not about keeping love out, they are about keeping self-respect in. A woman who honors her limits radiates something rare, emotional safety. And paradoxically, that safety makes her even more desirable because people are drawn to those who know who they are and what they stand for. So when we talk about why men are drawn to bad women, it's often not about rebellion or danger at all. It's about the quiet power of self-trust. She doesn't chase, she chooses. She doesn't demand respect, she embodies it through consistency. That ability to value yourself enough to say no, to walk away when something doesn't align, is one of the most powerful lessons anyone can learn about love and attraction. There's something undeniably magnetic about mystery. That calm confidence that says, you don't get to know everything about me, at least not yet. The so-called bad woman embodies this without effort. She doesn't overshare. She doesn't scatter her emotions across every conversation. Instead, she reveals herself in layers, letting curiosity build naturally over time. That element of challenge, the feeling that she's a story worth uncovering, awakens a man's instinct to pursue. The human mind is wired to seek completion. When something feels unknown or unfinished, we fixate on it. That's why mystery holds such power in attraction. It keeps the imagination alive and the heart engaged. The bad woman, consciously or not, uses this psychological truth with grace. She knows that silence can say more than 1,000 explanations, and that leaving room for curiosity invites depth. Men aren't drawn to her because she's cold or distant. They're drawn to her because she's selective. Her attention feels earned, not handed out freely. Challenge and mystery add texture to connection. A man doesn't just want to be desired. He wants to feel that he's earned something rare. When a woman makes him work for understanding, not through manipulation, but through authentic self-respect, it strengthens the emotional investment he brings to the connection. The chase isn't a game, it's growth. It's the unfolding of awareness, discovery, and effort that makes something meaningful. But there's an important difference between healthy challenge and emotional detachment. The healthy kind sparks curiosity without breeding confusion. A confident woman who knows her worth doesn't toy with feelings. She simply doesn't rush intimacy. She allows space for trust to build, for truth to surface naturally. That space reveals character, his and hers. Mystery requires restraint. It's easy to overshare, to fill silence with words, to prove your value through transparency. But real mystery stems from confidence, the quiet comfort of being seen only as much as you choose. A woman who carries mystery gracefully doesn't hide. She withholds just enough to remain intriguing. That's the art. She offers glimpses, not full disclosure. And in doing so, she commands attention without asking for it. Mystery keeps relationships alive long after the first spark fades. It gives both people something to continue exploring. The most captivating women are those who keep evolving, who always have new layers to reveal. They understand that desire doesn't thrive on constant access. It thrives on discovery. The power of challenge and mystery lies in knowing that you're not an open book to be read in one sitting. You are a story meant to unfold slowly through patience, curiosity, and respect. And when someone earns the right to know your depths, it's not because they solved you, it's because they stayed long enough to understand you. Let's bring this into real life, because theory only goes so far. You've probably seen it. The self-assured woman who doesn't chase anyone, yet somehow everyone wants her attention. She isn't manipulative or cruel. She's simply grounded. She knows her worth. And that calm self-possession draws people in naturally. Think of women like Rihanna, Zendaya, or Margot Robbie. Their allure isn't just beauty. It's composure. That quiet aura that says, "You can admire me, but you can't control me." When they enter a room, they don't demand to be noticed. Attention gravitates toward them. Why? Because they embody balance, confidence without arrogance, independence without distance, mystery without pretense. It's the same energy that draws men toward women who seem untouchable yet deeply feminine. It's the energy of choice, not pursuit. But this dynamic isn't reserved for celebrities. You can see it in everyday life. Think of the woman who stands by her principles. She doesn't always send the first message. She doesn't say yes when she means no. She doesn't explain her standards to make others comfortable. She isn't playing hard to get, she's simply staying true to herself. And over time, the people around her start to respond differently. They show up more deliberately. They respect her time and her boundaries. That's the real world result of confidence and consistency. They shift how others behave. Now consider a man who's been with both kinds of partners, one who constantly needs reassurance and another who doesn't. He'll often describe the so-called bad woman as exciting, unpredictable, maybe even a bit intimidating. What he's really describing is the intensity she evokes. She challenges him to grow, to stay present, to bring his best self forward. The attraction he feels is not rooted in chaos, but in evolution. She doesn't shrink herself to make him comfortable, and in turn, he has to rise to meet her strength. That's why the bad woman leaves such a lasting impression, because she doesn't just capture a man's attention, she awakens his potential. He feels more alive around her because she never lets him stay too comfortable. Researchers have found that people value what requires effort to attain. When connection demands presence, respect, and patience, it becomes something deeper. The so-called bad woman naturally creates that kind of structure. Her standards invite effort, and that effort strengthens attachment. Whether it's at a gala in an office or on a dating app, the same truth applies. People are drawn to those who don't need to be chosen to feel whole. Real-world bad women aren't villains. They remind us that attraction grows not from availability, but from authenticity. The lesson isn't to imitate them, but to understand what they represent. Because once you learn to balance confidence with empathy, mystery with openness, and challenge with warmth, you don't just attract, you inspire. There's a common misconception that to be magnetic, a woman must become colder or detached. But the truth is simpler. Real power lies in being kind without being a pushover. Good women don't need to become bad. They only need to redefine what good truly means. Genuine kindness with firm boundaries is one of the most captivating combinations that exist. Many women are taught that being nice means saying yes, avoiding conflict, and putting others first, but that form of niceness often leads to exhaustion. When a woman gives without receiving, she loses her spark, and others begin to take her for granted. The women labeled as bad simply protect that spark. They know that being loving doesn't mean being endlessly available. It means giving with intention, not out of duty. A kind woman who channels her energy more wisely learns to say no without guilt. She begins to see that her time, emotions, and body hold value. She doesn't stop being compassionate. She adds discernment to her warmth. She still shows up with care, but no longer pours into those who offer nothing in return. That one change shifts how others see her and how she sees herself. Confidence for a kind woman isn't about being tough. It's realizing she doesn't need to prove her worth through overgiving. She can be soft yet strong. She speaks gently but with clarity. She listens with empathy, but never at the cost of her own peace. That balance creates quiet power, the kind that earns respect without asking for it. When a kind woman begins to value herself as much as she values others, everything changes. She stops chasing validation and starts attracting reciprocity. Her energy becomes calm, steady, and magnetic because she's no longer performing kindness. She's living from truth, and that authenticity draws people in. Men and people in general aren't drawn to cruelty, they're drawn to certainty. The woman who knows who she is and what she stands for becomes irresistible. The bad woman simply mirrors what happens when confidence meets boundaries. The kind woman who integrates those same traits doesn't lose her tenderness. She refines it into self-respect. The lesson isn't to stop being kind. It's to stop confusing kindness with self-sacrifice. When warmth meets wisdom, she becomes unforgettable. Not for the chaos she causes, but for the calm she carries. Confidence isn't innate, it's developed. The most magnetic women didn't wake up irresistible. They learned to value themselves, to treat their energy as precious, and to protect it. Shifting your mindset is the first step to embodying that same confidence without losing sincerity. It begins with awareness. Many women seek approval unconsciously. They over-explain and overextend, hoping for acceptance. The moment you see that pattern, you can break it. Confidence grows when you stop asking, "Will they like me?" and start asking, "Do I respect myself?" That one shift changes everything. Another key is embracing your worth. A woman who radiates confidence doesn't wait for anyone to confirm her value. She already knows it. She doesn't need reassurance because her self-image is grounded in recognizing her strengths, accepting her flaws, and honoring her limits. Once this truth takes root, people feel her presence before she speaks. Mindset also means reframing fear of rejection, judgment, or not being enough. These feelings are normal, but they only limit you when you let them. The most self-assured women see fear as guidance, not an obstacle. They ask, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then move forward. That quiet courage creates the tension and allure that naturally draw others in. Confidence also builds through consistency. Magnetic energy isn't performance, it's habit. It's in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you protect your energy each day. Every time you choose self-respect over people-pleasing, curiosity over criticism, and presence over distraction, you strengthen your inner foundation. Changing your mindset isn't about pretending to be distant. It's about honoring your worth and showing up as your full self. When you do, confidence feels effortless, attraction feels natural, and relationships deepen. Not through control, but through alignment with your true self. We've explored the psychology of attraction, the balance between confidence and compassion, and the difference between chaos and authenticity. The real message is simple. It's never about being bad. It's about being unapologetically whole while protecting your energy. That combination is magnetic because it's genuine. Confidence forms the base. A woman who knows her value and her limits carries a natural presence that draws others in. It isn't arrogance. It's self-respect in motion. People respond to that energy because it reflects emotional independence and truth. When you stop chasing approval, the right people gravitate toward you. Boundaries are just as vital. Setting limits doesn't push others away. It teaches them how to treat you. Boundaries create respect and stability. They bring structure and meaning to connection. Mystery and challenge add spark. The intrigue of discovery and the excitement of not revealing everything at once keep connection alive. True allure lies in balance, being open yet reserved, approachable yet deep. It's the art of revealing enough to stir curiosity while keeping your essence intact. Then there's emotional thrill versus stability. The most captivating women awaken emotion without creating turmoil. They spark passion while offering calm. That balance, someone who stirs your heart and steadies your mind, is irresistible. In the end, it all circles back to authenticity. You don't have to act bad to be desired. You have to be yourself, fully, confidently, and without apology. When you do, confidence, mystery, and intelligence follow naturally. People respond to your energy, not performance. True magnetism isn't about playing games. It's about alignment. The more you nurture your confidence, respect your limits, and embrace your power, the more you'll draw the kind of attention and respect you deserve. That's why people are drawn to women who live unapologetically as themselves.